their time zone is.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm going to go ahead and give it a few minutes and let some others join. Okay, hello, good morning, welcome. Thank you for joining us our TPO Connect training this morning. I want to let everybody know that your cameras and mics are not being allowed. So if you have any questions at all, please write them down, put them in our chat, and then we'll take a few breaks, go over those, but we'll also go over those at the end of the meeting. And I have Norma here with us. She is your account executive. So let's go ahead and get started right away. I'm going to share my screen.
And thank you guys for joining us. This is a really, really good training for us to go over with you as you may have loans to submit. Feel free to ask as many questions as you need to. And if I know that some of you have loans to submit. If you have still questions, feel free to reach out, and Monique and I will schedule time with you guys later on today.
All right, so moving on. My name is Monique Manaya, and I've been in the mortgage industry since 1997. I've been in all arenas from broker, retail, wholesale, processor, loan officer, branch manager, but most recently I was the EEP production manager over at the government entity Tule River. And so understanding and knowing the ins and outs and the depths of EEP and being on the underwriting guideline committee, I bring a lot of wealth of information over here at Treviso for you to help build your EEP business. And we also have Norma, who is your account executive, and she also has been in the mortgage sales industry for decades, in which together we partner up and make sure that you guys have a successful journey here at Treviso. So please do not ever hesitate to reach out to either one of us or both of us for any questions that you guys may have. So today we are going over the Earned Equity Program. It is a structured pathway to homeownership. So this is going to be the overview training for loan officers and operations. This is going to give you a detailed explanation on how to set up your files, what goes in them, what the next steps are, what to expect, and what's to come. So why EEP exists. It expands homeownership to people that just otherwise aren't able to access it, that just do not fit into that traditional mortgage box. And it gives them the access to all of the appreciation while they're in the program, while they're waiting to get their full legal ownership. So essentially how it works is we have our government entity, which is Tule River. They're going to step in and purchase the home on behalf of your home buyer utilizing FHA financing. At closing, Tule River and your home buyer are going to enter into a homeownership agreement. The home buyer will occupy the home. They can do anything to make it their own. They will get a 1098 interest statement at the end of the year. And then they will take legal title later. So they can take this legal title transfer by assuming the FHA loan, selling the home, or paying off the option purchase price with Tule River. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of EEP in the process here. There are two files, all right? We require two files, two completely separate files, which is going to consist of your home buyer as a TBD file. And then after they've gone under contract, you're then going to create an entirely new file with Tule River as the home buyer. That is the file that's going to have the subject property address. So let's talk about file number one, your home buyer TBD file. And I just want to let you guys know up front that I might repeat some items. And the only reason why I'm going to do that is because I want to make sure that everybody has a good understanding of the process flow. And also there are certain things that we want to make sure that you do not do, because if certain things are done, we have to withdraw the file and you have to start over, things of that nature. And so I'm definitely going to repeat those items. So I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I just might. All right, so file number one, the home buyer TBD file. So the purpose of this file is to qualify the home buyer with TRIA only. Okay, so you are going to create your 1003 file in your Mismo platform with the home buyer as a TBD. Do not enter the subject property address in this file. Okay, it must be created as TBD and it must remain in a TBD status. So what you're going to do is you're going to complete your homebuyer 1003 as TBD in your LOS platform. You are then going to upload the 3.4 Mismo into TPO Connect. There's going to be a demonstration after I go through this presentation where I'll show you exactly what to do while you're in TPO Connect to get the registration done. You are going to select the EEP 30-year fixed program. You're going to complete the pre-approval checklist, and then you're going to upload the required documents. So what are those required documents? The required documents that you upload into the loan documents section is the pre-approval checklist. There is a referral at the bottom of this checklist, okay? So the reason we need this filled out and uploaded is because when we submit the file over to the government entities portal, there is a hard stop for this referral. So that's why it's very important that, not only you're completing the checklist to ensure that you have all of the documentation needed, but also to have that referral information at the bottom. You also need to upload the identification documents, credit, income, assets, verification of rent, and also any cover letter or letter of explanation. So after you've uploaded your Mismo, you've selected your product, and you've uploaded your documents, your file will then enter our TBD queue, okay? We have an account manager that's going to grab and review your file. They're going to scrub your file. If everything looks great, they're going to send it and submit it over to the entity. If there's some items missing, they're going to send you over an email with those missing items. So we are subject to the government entities' turn times for pre-approvals. Currently, the last time I looked, it was 48 to 72 hours. So with that being said, we want to make sure that we're submitting full files so that we can get those over to the government entity and get you guys your pre-approvals as quickly as possible. Okay, now we're going to talk about the file number two, which is the the Tule River subject property file. All right. So when do you create this file? You will only create this file once the home buyer has gone out. They will put the property under contract. They will deposit the earnest money. And then there is an assignment addendum that needs to be signed by both buyer and seller. And we can get signatures from Tule River, so don't worry about that. And then that's when you will create your file number 2. All right. So file number 2 will be created. You can either create a new file in your LOS platform, or you can manually enter it into our system. I'll show you both ways on how you can do that. So Tule River will be listed as the buyer with the subject property address. And this is the file that you will enter in the purchase price, the loan terms. Now, we have a entity job aid that gives you all of the information needed to complete the 1003 from page 1 to page 4. Okay, so everything that you need to fully complete this file to trigger TRID is going to be in this entity job aid. So essentially, you'll do the same thing that you did on file number 1. You will, again, create the file utilizing the job aid. You will make sure that you enter the subject property in this file. You will upload the 3.4 MISMO and select earned equity as the product. And then this file requires 4 documents to be uploaded. Okay, we have the purchase contract, a fully executed assignment addendum, the lender disclosure request form, and the mortgage broker fee agreement. Those are the 4 documents that you need to upload, and then you will click request disclosures. So after you've uploaded those 4 items, you will click request disclosures. This moves your file into our disclosure department's queue. They will then prepare an LE to send over to you to approve. As soon as you approve that LE, they will send out the initial disclosures. Okay, these initial disclosures go to Tule River to e-sign. And then you will also, or your loan officer will go into TPO Connect, into the borrower, into the Tule River file and e-sign your part, which is the 1003. Okay, so we have some initial disclosure documents for your home buyer, but those aren't provided quite yet. Those will be provided very soon. And those are the disclosures that your home buyer will sign. Your home buyer is not signing anything related to the FHA loan, 1003, LE, CD. Your home buyer is not signing any of those items. Again, they have their own disclosures, and then also Tule River will prepare an ICCD, which is an initial consumer cost disclosure. This is what the home buyer will sign. This is what gives them their total funds to close, and that's provided soon after this process, okay? Okay, so Tule River and either you as the loan officer or your loan officer will again e-sign the FHA initial disclosures. We will then receive our intent to proceed. So once we receive our intent to proceed, your assigned account manager will pull the FHA case number, and then they will send an email out to the LO and team that the appraisal is ready to be ordered with some instructions, specifically instructions on the appraisal payment link. The appraisal payment link does need to go to your home buyer to pay. If you don't adjust and correct that information in your order, it'll go to Tule River's email, and they ignore those. They don't pay for the appraisals. So that could cause some delays. Just make sure that you're entering in your home buyer's information for the appraisal link. And then also the appraisal is ordered in the order appraisal tab. It's at the very, very bottom. I'll point that out when I'm doing the demonstration as well. So just a few items to remember about ordering the appraisal. I know that, people will register their file and then I'll get an email if they can order the appraisal. We want to make sure that the disclosures have been sent and e-signed. We've received, that gives us our intent to proceed. The account manager will then pull the FHA case number, and then that's when you will get your instructions to order the appraisal in the order appraisal tab, and you'll add the home buyer's email for the payment link. So wanting to make sure that everything flows smoothly, we have this broker workflow summary. So number one, we're wanting to qualify your borrower. And we do that by submitting your file number one. We also call this phase one. And that is done by submitting your homebuyer TBD file. Okay. You will then receive your conditional approval from the government entity Tule River. They can then go find their home and put the property under contract. This is when you will then create your entity file and request disclosures. The FHA case number is pulled, appraisal is ordered, and then you will clear conditions and close. Okay. So a few things about EEP process and getting it mastered is always remembering there is a 2-file structure. This is super critical, okay? Never ever enter the subject property address in your home buyer's file. So if you do enter the subject property address in your home buyer's file, this will trigger TRID and we will have to withdraw it. And you will have to resubmit a new file. And then clearing your home buyer conditions early. So if you get your approval and your buyer's out looking for a home, you can start working on getting some of their conditions cleared to get ahead of the game. Submitting your clean home buyer TBD submission. So what that means is making sure that the 1003 is completely filled out and that you've uploaded everything that's on the pre-approval checklist, because that can cause delays. The proper entity file creation. So when you're going off of the entity job aid to create their 1003, you want to make sure that you follow it step by step, making sure that all 6 items for TRID get triggered, because if they don't, the file will be kind of in a limbo stage. It won't go to our disclosure department, but it'll kind of be in a limbo stage to where it can get overlooked. But making sure that you enter every single piece of the 6 items to trigger TRID is super important. And then just essentially following the workflow from the previous slide, understanding that these are the steps I need to take, but then it goes into more of just a traditional mortgage transaction where you're clearing conditions. You will get a conditions on the Tule River FHA loan, but those are all property related. So Tule River can obtain, as a government entity, they can obtain as many FHA loans as they want. Non-owner occupied, they do not have to credit, income, or asset qualify. So any of the conditions related on that approval is going to be property related conditions, okay? Let's move on. So just want to go over these common broker mistakes again. So avoiding these errors can definitely save time entering the property address in the TBD file. The assignment addendum is not fully executed. So what I mean by this is that you've created and you've started phase 2 and you've uploaded all of your documents, but your assignment addendum is not signed by, say, the buyer and the seller. So our disclosure department is already up against TRID was triggered, so we have our 3 days, but they can't send disclosures without the signatures on the assignment addendum. So making sure that we have signatures on that assignment addendum, before we start phase 2, file 2, the government entity subject property file is super important. Homebuyer documents need to go into the homebuyer file. Tule River's file with the subject property is going to close fund, provide the funds for the seller. It is going to get insured by HUD. So when we send the package over to HUD, if you've uploaded any of the homebuyer documents and we perhaps missed them by chance, that can cause some big confusion when HUD is reviewing the file. We do not want to ever upload any of the homebuyer documents into our Tule River file, okay? And I'll show you an example of what you're going to see in your pipeline and how you want to make sure conditions are submitted. And then also the incomplete loan setup. So when you're submitting your homebuyer TBD file and you've registered it and you've only put a few of the documents on the checklist in, that can create delays. So if we're wanting to make sure that the file is moving along, we're really good about working with you and sending you reminders about what we need and what we're missing. But we really want to try to get that process moving to get them their pre-approval so they can go out and start looking for their homes. A few other items that the underwriters over at the government entity love is cover letters. So letting them know about the story of the file. Is there a credit situation we're looking at? How did you structure the income? Assets. We don't source or season funds to close. So if you're submitting your file and currently their bank statements do not show sufficient funds for closing, you can throw a cover letter in there letting them know that they're currently saving all of their funds at home, or they're going to get a gift letter. Things of that nature that just help provide a better overview of your file for the underwriter is very important. Having your 1003 fully completed with addresses, phone numbers, your declarations are filled out. Also, letter of explanations. Again, down payment, is it going to be a gift? How your income was calculated. We have income calculation worksheets. And also, if they currently own a home, what is the disposition of that property? They can retain and rent out a current home if they do own one, but you are then restricted to a lower DTI of 40 over 50, and they do need 3 months reserves. So standard DTI for EEP is 50 over 60, but if they're going to retain a home, then it goes down 40 over 50 and they do have to have reserves, okay? So also we want to make sure that we're setting the proper expectations. There are 2 files, 2 sets of conditions, okay? We have some overlays with the government entity in regard to property. They require a termite in 35 states. So you want to make sure that you're getting pest and termite inspections ordered right away. The home inspection is required if the property was built in 1978 or older, and or if your appraisal comes back and the condition is a C4 or greater. Then we also need a home inspection that's going to be reviewed by the government entity's underwriter. They typically only require safety issues to be repaired up front. There is case by case where they do want other items to be repaired, but they do have a cure agreements. They have either a 3 or a 6 month cure agreement. So those are options as long as they're not major safety issues. So keep that in mind. Having any sort of repairs done can also push out closing dates, depending on how long those take. And then the closing. This EEP is not a same day close and fund. All right. So we're looking at overnight packages. We're looking at wire transfers. Tule River is out on their reservation in Porterville, California. Their FedEx and UPS pickup time is at 4 o'clock, but it is about an hour away from where they're located. So I believe their cutoff for packages the same day is 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. that gives them enough time to sign, package it up, get in the car, and then somebody drives packages out every day. Now, end of the month, there's two or three signers out there right now. So if they happen to get, 9 or 10 packages at 1 o'clock, there's also no guarantee that it's going to make it. So end of the month also can create some delays in closings. Also, Texas has their own new requirements for closing. So if you do originate loans in Texas, make sure you reach out to me and I can give you a little bit of overview of what those new requirements are. So yeah, just making sure that you're communicating with the buyer, your real estate agent partners. Make sure that they understand we're getting these people into homes, but it's not a traditional mortgage, and therefore the process is not the same as traditional mortgage. Okay, so keeping that line of communication open and setting the proper expectations. The average, when I was running EEP over there, the average closing was about 37 days. So I would definitely say that it's about 30 to 45 days, depending on how complex your specific file is, and if you need repairs done, so on and so forth. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and show you the registration. So let me get that set up for you. And again, just please remember that if you have any questions at all, you can put them in the chat and we'll address those. Does anybody have any questions right now before I get started on the how to register and submit files? I don't see any right now, so we'll go ahead and move on, but please make sure that you put down any questions. We want to make sure that you're fully informed and understanding the program and the process flow. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the registration going for you.
Welcome to Trevisa Financial.
Here is our Trevisa TPO Connect. This is the main page that will give you recently accessed loans, lender key contacts, and company announcements. This top blue bar here is where you're going to have your forms, job aids, and all functionalities needed. We have our pipeline. You can search your file by all active loans. You can see if your lock's going to be expiring soon, if your file has gone clear to close, etc. Yes. Norma?
Monique,
Yes.
you're
Are you
not
able to?
sharing.
Is it not
We
sharing?
can't see the.
Well, that's very weird.
No, and your audio is not very good.
All right, it's turned up all the way. Let me see. Can you guys hear it fine?
No, it's not. It's
They're saying
we
that
could
they can hear it.
it, but we only see you and the screen with all the attendees.
Okay, let me share it one more time. They said that they could see and hear it fine. So I'm going to share it one more
Yeah,
time.
we can hear it, but we can't see the video.
Can you guys see the video?
So never mind if they can see it.
Okay, I'm going to share again. If anybody wants to put in the chat, if for some reason you can't hear it, hold on one sec. Let me make sure that it's including sound.
Welcome to Trevisa
And I
Financial.
can't put anything on
Here
chat.
is our Trevisa TPO Connect.
There we
This
go.
is the main page that will give you recently accessed loans, lender key contacts, and company announcements. This top blue bar here is where you're going to have your forms, job aids, and all functionalities needed. We have our pipeline. You can search your file by all active loans. You can see if your lock's going to be expiring soon, if your file has gone clear to close, etc., etc. Here is where you or the loan officer will go to e-sign the loans. Or you can also go into the Tule River subject second. Scenarios is where you can run different loan situations and look up pricing. We utilize OB, which is Optimal Blue. This is our program guides and matrices. So we have our conventional government DPA programs here, but also more specifically our earned equity program. In this section, you will find everything that you need to submit and process your EEP file. For instance, we have our EEP matrix down here at the bottom. We have our pre-approval checklist that is required when you're submitting your homebuyer TBD file. We have our EEP submission overview, which is going to be the steps needed to register your file written down. I'm going to do an example here in a second, but here it is written down in case you need something to refer back to. And then we have our entity job aid for phase 2. This is to complete the Tule River 1003 from start to finish. We also have our assignment addendum here that needs to be fully executed by all parties, and our approval or our approved title companies. So just keep in mind that it's not the escrow officer or the attorney that needs to be approved. It's specifically the company that is going to insure the title. Okay, that's who needs to be on the approved list. We also have our process guides and job aids here. So if you are specifically needing to transfer an FHA case number, here is our government sponsorship information. In addition, our mortgagee clause is here. In forms and checklists, this is where you're going to find all of the forms for all of our programs, FHA, conventional. Some of our EEP programs are here as well. So for instance, we have our lender disclosure request form that is needed to request the disclosures for Tule River file. We have our initial closing disclosure, a COC form, doc request form, and then here is that mortgage broker fee agreement that is also required to get initial disclosures for your Tule River file. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a new loan and demonstrate how that is done. So please make sure that if you have any questions, you are either writing them down or you're putting them in the chat, because after this demonstration, we're going to go back and answer all of your questions. For here, you are going to select the pencil on the far right. And here is where in the drop down, you're going to put in your loan officer's name, click save. Again, selecting the pencil on the far right, select your processor, click save, and then click next. This is the page that you can either drag and drop your 3.4 MISMO file here. You can search your local drive, or you can manually enter the file. I have a homebuyer TBD file that I'm going to drag and drop. You select go to register loan. The first bit of information that pops up is going to have some light yellow boxes with red asterisks. Since this is my homebuyer TBD file, I am going to push it out a little bit. For loan doc type, EEP, you always will select full documentation, even if you are using the 3-month bank statement program. You will come down here and select Earned Equity Program for the specialty program. Vesting type can be individual. Pre-qual indicator is yes. I am looking at getting my home buyer pre-qualified with Tule River. When this is your Tule River subject property file, you will mark no, that it's not a pre-qual. You will then click register create. This box is items that didn't automatically pull over from your MISMO file. So for the property type, I'm going to put in detached today. For reserves, they are not waived. You can never waive reserves for EEP. And the minimum FICO score is 580. And I'm going to click save and then register create. So you'll know that everything was entered in properly when you receive this success button, the green success box on the right. And now you have all of your homeowners information here at the top. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to attach a program with this file. I'm going to come over here to my left blue bar and select product pricing and lock. Search product and pricing. For this section, we just want to make sure that every box is completed that has a red asterisk. For the bottom left side, AUS findings, you do not need to do anything here as this is a manual underwrite. For the LO compensation paid by, you can either select lender paid or borrower paid. And then for the target rate, I always suggest putting in the highest rate possible. Let's get your home buyer approved at that high rate, and then we can always lock them lower. So we're going to click search product and pricing here. The next screen that pops up is optimal blue. There is going to be 2 boxes that we want to make sure are filled out before we click submit to search for the actual products. Okay, so down here in property information, we just want to make sure that the county is filled out, and we want to make sure under loan type that it is marked as FHA. I will now click submit, and it's going to search the programs that meet my client's criteria that I entered. So here we have the 30-year fixed program, and I selected the 8 1/4. I'm going to take my gray bar and slide over to the right. So I'm going to select the blue box that is next to the 8 1/4. Now this is the same way that you would lock your Tule River subject property file. You would come in here and click request lock. Because this is my homebuyer TBD file and I want to just update the product to the file, I'm going to click update Encompass. The next box that pops up, you can go ahead and click close in the top right. But for this next screen, let it do its thing. It's transferring the registration over to our TBD queue for the account managers. So now that I have my earned equity 30-year fixed, I'm going to come over here again to my left blue bar and select loan documents. Here is where I'm going to upload my pre-approval checklist, my identification docs, credit, income, assets, VOR, any LOXs, cover letters, income calculation worksheets. They all go here in file submission package underneath the home buyer's name. You can either drag or drop the files, or you can browse for files. I am going to upload a form to show you what it looks like, But I also did want to mention really quick that if this was your Tule River file with the subject property address and you were uploading your 4 documents, in the file submission package, you would put the purchase contract and the fully executed assignment addendum, lender disclosure request in here, and the mortgage broker fee agreement in here. That is for your Tule River subject property file, okay? So I'm going to drag and drop. You'll know that your document's uploaded successfully when you have a green checklist or check mark. If they did not, then it will pull up red and you'll just delete it and re-upload. So now you're done with the homebuyer TBD file. It's in our queue. Account manager is going to go and review it and scrub it. They will email you if anything's missing. If not, they'll go ahead and get it submitted to Tule River for your pre-approval. Now, again, if this was my Tule River file with subject property address and I just uploaded my purchase contract, my assignment addendum, my lender disclosure request form is uploaded, my mortgage broker fee agreement's uploaded, I'm going to come down here under loan actions and click request disclosures. This is also where I would come to request my COC after I've locked and order my appraisal. Once the file is approved, a new loan action will pop up, which is request initial closing disclosure. So that is also where you will go to request your closing disclosure. Okay? Okay, so there is one additional thing that I wanted to show you. Actually, I'm sorry, there's 2. Just show you these 2 items. So you're going to end up seeing a lot of Tule River files in your pipeline. You're going to soon see tons of earned equity files like this. You're going to want to make sure that you are going off of the subject property address. And then for your home buyer, you're going off of the borrower name. Okay? So Tule River file, you're going off of the subject property address. Home buyer's always going to be in a TBD, so you're going to just reference home buyer name. All home buyer conditions go in your home buyer file. All property related conditions go in your Tule River subject property file. So for instance, purchase contract, assignment addendum, homeowner's insurance, things of that nature will go in the property file. Income, credit, assets will go into your home buyer file. Okay, so now we have this tool. It is called the Homeownership Cost Estimator. And I want to go over this tool because this is a great way to go over an estimate of how much your home buyers are needing to bring into closing. We might not necessarily have the LE out yet. So essentially, we have a kind of an example here on the right. So as soon as I make this a little bit bigger, that will go away. And if I don't have the LE yet, but I also cannot show my home buyer the LE because that is Tule River's LE and they have not given us permission to show anybody any of their initial disclosure docs or final closing docs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill out this form and use this to review with my home buyers. So you're going to double click on the box. This will open in an Excel format for you to fill out. And make this a little bigger for y'all. Okay, so here I'm just going to put in a purchase price, appraised value, and a rate. So for this section 1, the FHA loan, these are the details for the entity. This is going to have your purchase price, interest rate, down payment, base loan amount, and then your total loan amount, including the upfront MIP. Section 2 is when you're calculating the monthly payment. It's going to go over your principal and interest for your home buyer, what their monthly mortgage insurance premium is. Here on the far right is where you're going to enter in property taxes. Actually, let's go a little higher than that. And then you're going to enter in the hazard insurance. If there is flood, you would put that here. But what the form did was it took the annual property tax and hazard and broke it down to a monthly amount here on line 2.3. 2.4 is where you would enter in any monthly HOA dues. And then section 2.5 is the monthly Tule River servicing fee. This fee allows Tule River to have a great servicing fee for all of the customers and clients after they close. They will get a monthly mortgage statement from them. They will get a 1098 interest statement. If there's any questions, issues, anything that they need, they have this servicing department to go to. So then line 2.6 gives them their total monthly payment amount. Section 3 is the summary of FHA loan fees. So we have our down payment and we have our financed closing costs, which is the MIP here. Everything in blue is automatically populated. So how do I figure out what my FHA loan closing costs are? You can take the LE that we have disclosed on if you've gotten to that point, or in your own LOS platform, you can enter in all of, your estimated title fees. I'm going to enter right here. The appraisal fee is $700, but it's paid out of closing. And our underwriting processing fee here at Trevisa is $12.95. Prepaid, you're just going to want to enter everything in as if you were preparing an estimated LE for your home buyer. For this file, you want to also include the MIP since we subtracted out on 3.3. So I'm going to say that, with all of closing costs, we're also going to add in 1 point because we wanted to get the rate lower. So we're going to say closing costs are about, let's just make it easy and say $15,910. Okay, so then we're going to take $5,900 out for the MIP that was financed. And then let's just say the earnest money deposit was $1,000. So my seller concessions can only pay for the FHA loan closing costs. So I want to make sure that my subtotal is MRI. I want to make sure my home buyer is bringing in the smallest amount possible. So if I have 12,250 is my down payment minus my earnest money deposit, 11,250 is going to be my MRI. Okay. So if I have closing costs of $92.99. Okay, there we go. Whew. It's too early. I need more coffee, guys. All right, so I've gotten my FHA loan to be MRI. That is the smallest amount that the home buyer is going to bring in. Minimum down payment minus earnest money deposit is my MRI of $11,250. Okay, so now what I'm going to move on to is the homeownership agreement fees that Tule River charges. They charge a $12.50 for the underwriting processing fee. The program participation fee is waived. They charge a 0.5% homeownership agreement fee, the first month's payment, and a notary fee. So my subtotal is going to be $62.12, and that includes just over $3,000 for the first month's payment. So if I combined the subtotal of the FHA loan fees with the subtotal of the homeownership agreement fees, we have our total cash to close the transaction of $70,463.02, and $3,062 of that is their first month payment. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if anybody has any questions. Okay, hi guys, sorry about that. Sorry for the technical difficulties there. So we just wanted to see if you guys have any questions, if you guys still feel like you need any help registering your files. I know that there was a few of you guys that had some that were ready to register. If you wanted to prepare your 1003s, have your MISMOs ready, have your pre-approval checklist and all of your documents ready. If you wanted to, I could just set up a 15-minute call. You could share your screen, and then I could just hang out on the call with you while you did the entire registration process. That way, I could point out anything that I saw that, maybe needed to be done differently. So just know that we are available for that, or I'm available for that. I have some more trainings today. I'm going to do the full EEP training that goes over the entire EEP program here in about a half an hour. And then I have a few meetings, so I could definitely help you out later on this afternoon. So please let me know. But it doesn't look like anybody has any questions. So I don't want to cut you guys off too soon, but if you guys are good to go, then I want to thank you guys for joining us, and just know that you guys can reach out at any time if you need anything at all.
Okay, just before we go, you guys please do know that you can reach out to us, Monique or myself, if you run into any issues getting your loans submitted. I know a couple of you have loans right now, so please let us know. We'll be happy to jump in. I believe Monique is available after 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you all. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.